Okay, so we need to make, we need to have an understanding of how exactly we can, we can get the button and the LED to work together as a switch. So how do I do that? Let me say, I'll just use this here. When I get an input, so basically what should I do? When I get an input from the button. So first I'm going to show you a little primitive way of programming it, and then I'll tell you on the Raspberry Pi what you can do a little differently in order to make the same program. So initially I'm just going to give you the primitive way. The primitive way is I need to make sure, what is my, when I press the button, what is the current state of my LED, right? All right, so when I press the button, so first of all, when I press the button, what is the value that the Raspberry Pi is reading? The Raspberry Pi is reading a 1 when I press the button. But when I press the button, what should I do? If my button is equal to 1, what should I do? Okay, if my button is equal to 1, I should not make it on, but I should actually check what is the state of my LED? What is the state of my LED already? Okay, I should check that out. And after checking that out, I should then figure out, all right, so what must I do? What must I not do? And stuff like that. Okay, so let me say I should check the state of my LED. Let me say I store it in a variable called as LED state. Now, initially, let me say the LED state is false. And also I will have to make my GPIO.output at pin number 7 as whatever is my LED state. So if my LED state, I want it false at the start, I will output a false, which means the LED will become off. But now when the button is pressed, I need to check what is my LED state. I need to check if my LED state, you actually don't need brackets for if, even if it is there, it's okay, but no need. If LED state is equal to, you can check whatever is the LED state, and then, all right, so we can do something like this. Let's do like this. Let me say LED state, change it to not of LED state. Why? Because the minute you press, if your LED is off, that means your LED state is false. I need to make it on, right? I need to make it on. So when I make it on, I need to change the LED state. I need to make it on. And when I make it on, all I need to do is I need to output on. Now, if my LED state was 1, that means it was already on. When the button is pressed, I need to make it off, which means LED state should be not a LED state, which means true it becomes false. And then when I output 7, false, that is false, right? So this is what I need to do. But there is a problem. What is the problem? The problem is that my button is, when I get pressed, when I press the button, what happens? When I press the button, what happens? The value that comes up onto the screen is not just 1, but it's multiple ones, right? The values which come on the screen are multiple ones. It is not just 1. So I need to say that is because the reading and all this is happening so fast that it's going into the while loop again and again. It is happening so fast, and the button is being read as a 1 again and again, and that is why the print of the 1 is happening very fast. Hence, when the button gets pressed, it should go inside, do this task, but it should remain there until the button is left. The pressing of the button itself takes some time from us, which results in the while loop being executed again and again. So that means this itself will start toggling, which is not a good state for me, right? So what I need to do is, when over here I can say LED state is not LED state, GPIO.output 7, LED state. I need to say over here, I need to state here LED state, okay, dot output 7, LED state. I need to state here saying, over here I will say, while my GPIO.input from pin number 11 is equal to 1, what must I do? Do nothing, stay here. which means it is constantly pressed, right? Now, do I need this else part? No, I don't need this else part, because if the button is not pressed, you don't need to do anything, right? Just let it remain as it is. Only if the button is pressed, you should do this. Let's run this out and we'll check. Okay, so we'll check our code. So for now, I'm pressing the button. The minute I press, it should stay there, off, on, off, on. Okay, so I'm going to show you the output, and then I'm going to show you another better way to do this. So here we have the LED and the button already. All I have to do is press the button and it's off, press the button again, it's on, press the button again, it's off, press the button again, it's on, press the button again. So it's working like a switch, exactly as I have programmed it. So this is how the working of the push button along with the LED works. Hope that is very clear. Yes, now I'll give you a better way to program it, because you don't need to remember the LED state. In Python, you can even read the state even though the LED is an output, which means on the Raspberry Pi, even if the pin that you have connected as an output, that means pin number 7 is an output pin, right? So you can think, the Raspberry Pi cannot read it. No. Raspberry Pi, when it sends the values to the LED, at the same time, even if you don't save it, Raspberry Pi can also read what is the current value at pin number 7. Raspberry Pi can do that. So we can accordingly change it. All right. So let's see what we can do, what changes we can make in the code.